Get away from him. That dog is killer. Jim yelled in terror. The dog, poised to attack the girl mere seconds ago, was suddenly transformed. Its ferocious demeanor melted away, replaced by complete submission. The once dangerous animal now fawned over the girl with an eagerness that bewildered Jim. He'd never seen the dog act like this. His suspicion deepened. This girl had to be an angel. What he didn't realize was that this angel had come to guide him along his own path to heaven. The night before, the angel's descent to Earth went awry. She collided with a satellite and plummeted into Jim's swimming pool. Startled awake, Jim rushed outside and discovered the winged angel. Cautiously, he approached and gently turned her over. Her beautiful face left him momentarily speechless. He carried the angel back to his room, gently patting her cheek, but she remained unconscious. Desperate, Jim resorted to artificial respiration. A radiant glow spread across the angel's face as she regained consciousness, her eyes opening to reveal an even more breathtaking beauty. Her faint smile left Jim utterly captivated and disoriented. As the angel slowly sat up, her arms reaching toward Jim, a sharp pain shot through her injured wings. Jim rushed to comfort her. "Don't worry, we'll find someone to help." But the next moment, the angel surprised him by seeking a kiss. Believing she was declaring her love, Jim firmly refused, explaining that he was engaged. He didn't realize this kiss was her way of guiding his soul to heaven. The angel persisted, leaving Jim bewildered. He tried to convince himself there were no such things as angels, that this was all a dream. The moment their lips touched, Jim fell into a deep sleep within the angel's embrace. She prepared to take him away, but a surge of pain in her wings forced her to abandon the plan. For now. The next morning, a knock on the door roused Jim from his groggy slumber. To his surprise, it was Patty, his fiancée. He quickly blocked her entry, embarrassed by the state of his room. They agreed to meet later, but no sooner had Patty left than Jim's friends started arriving in a steady stream. Midway through tidying, Jim froze. "Oh my God, you're real." The angel spoke in the language of Enoch, her words lost on him. A sharp knock at the door sent his heart racing. In a frenzy, he hid the angel and rushed out, his friends' suspicions already raised. They barged in, searching the room. Just as they were about to give up, a twitch of the bed's blanket caught their eye. "Who is she?" they demanded, ignoring Jim's protests as they tore back the covers, revealing the angel's unmatched beauty. Stunned silence filled the room. Finally, one choked out, "Is that an angel?" "I guess so," Jim mumbled, his voice barely a whisper. They dragged Jim aside, eyes gleaming with dollar signs. "We could exhibit her, make a fortune." Jim bristled. He just wanted to heal the angel, see her safely on her way. "Guys, we pull pranks." "Sure, but we've never hurt anyone on purpose." "George," he said, his voice tight. "She's an angel, not some sideshow freak. If you won't help, fine. But I'm doing the right thing." Back home, Jim gently bandaged the angel's wounds, wrapping her in a warm blanket. When she sought another kiss, he again declined, his respect for her unwavering despite his growing attraction. It was precisely this kindness, this ability to place another's needs above his own desires, that had kept his soul safe all this time. Heart pounding at the thought of Patty waiting, Jim warned the angel to stay hidden. He swung open the door and collided with Patty. Her eyes immediately darted past him, landing on the angel. "You're hiding something," she accused, her voice sharp. Jim stammered out an explanation, but Patty turned on her heel, leaving him without another glance. Jim was seething with frustration. He vented his anger at the angel, who tumbled to the ground in fright. Jim rushed to her side, surprised to see her cooing playfully. His anger melted away, leaving him at a loss. Unsure of what to do with the angel, he sought help at a church. The priest, however, dismissed his story as nonsense. The angel, captivated by a statue of the Virgin Mary, spread her wings in reverence. A devout worshipper, oblivious to her presence, continued praying. When he finally looked up, he saw the angel and fled in terror. Witnessing the shivering angel, Jim rushed to drape a blanket around her shoulders. The priest eventually evicted them both from the church. Outside, Jim bought the angel a hamburger and fries, explaining that they were just food as curious stares followed them. They ate in silence, and when their eyes met, Jim's heart raced at her exquisite beauty. He excused himself and stepped into a phone booth to call Patty. But she was furious, her voice tight with anger as she cut off his explanations. Though the angel refused the hamburger, she devoured the fries with gusto. Just then, Jim's friends stormed in, their eyes widening at the sight of the angel. They hadn't given up on their get-rich-quick scheme and planned to use the fries as bait to lure her away. Fortunately, Jim caught them in time and they hastily fled. Back home, they found Patty's father waiting for them. He had intended to defend his daughter, but upon seeing the angel's beauty, he too was captivated. He cajoled Jim. "Take good care of this lovely young lady, will you? Why don't you two enjoy yourselves? You seem like a perfect match to me. Leave everything else to me." Jim's dreams of becoming a musician were dimmed by a lack of inspiration and a nagging, persistent headache. His friend's relentless fascination with the angel only worsened his troubles, driving a wedge between him and Patty. When the angel reached out for a comforting embrace, he pulled away. With a flicker of disappointment in her eyes, she quietly closed the door, leaving him alone in his turmoil. Unwittingly, their hearts began to intertwine. Yet, Jim constantly warned himself to hold the angel with reverence, to suppress any earthly desires. They were from different worlds, their love doomed. Still, the angel's captivating gaze left him reeling, unsure of his own resolve. Meanwhile, Jim's friends concocted a twisted plan to acquire the angel. They first lured Patty to their side, saying that Jim wanted to apologize to her alone. Then, they told Jim that Patty wanted to meet him at the park. Jim, believing this would be a chance to clear the air, decided to bring the angel along. But when he hung up the phone, he realized she was gone. Rushing outside, he spotted a shimmering blue light in the distance. As he approached, Jim froze. The angel stood bathed in radiance, her voice raised in ethereal song. Mesmerized, he watched as she drifted towards him. Lowering his gaze, he dared not look directly at her. His heart raced, torn between awe and fear of offending her sacred nature. Meanwhile, Patty waited eagerly, her heart filled with hope. But when she saw them still inseparable, her fury erupted. She stormed off, leaving Jim scrambling to catch up. Desperate to explain, he chased after her, unaware he was falling right into his friend's trap. They ensnared the angel in a net and dragged her away. As Jim tried to pacify Patty, he witnessed the kidnapping. Heartbroken, he abandoned Patty and pursued the van. Their relationship shattered, he sped after them, searching frantically. But despite his efforts, they vanished into the night. The next day, Jim's friends brought the angel to a press club, inviting reporters from every major television network. As the angel stood poised to be revealed to the world, Jim burst in, shouting, "She's a fake. They're lying to you. She's no angel." Determined to save her, Jim fought his friends for the first time in his life. The brawl was intense and chaotic, with punches and shouts filling the room. He swept the angel up in his arms and fled the press club, pursued by a swarm of reporters. Cornered, Jim blurted out the truth in an interview. "She's mine." The media seized on this, spinning the story into a sensational tale of forbidden love. Patty, watching the news, was filled with rage and jealousy. Betrayed and hurt, she vowed to get revenge. To shield the angel from the world and allow her to heal, Jim brought her to a secluded cabin in the forest. In the days that followed, he tended to her with tender care, nursing her back to health. Jim brought the angel her favorite fries. He carefully tended to her wounds, his touch gentle and reassuring. When he slept, she would playfully stroke his cheek with a feather, a mischievous smile on her face. Jim introduced her to the joys of human existence, while she revealed wonders he had never imagined. Birds and animals gathered around her, filling the forest with their melodious songs. Bathed in the shimmering light of the stars, they shared a moment of perfect harmony. One day, the angel felt her wings were healed. While Jim slept, she slipped outside and removed her bandages. With a powerful beat of her wings, she took to the sky. She soared over rivers and mountains, free at last. As the gates of heaven opened, she ascended into the golden light, disappearing into the clouds. A shimmering blue light filled the room, and the angel rebandaged her wings. That night, they sat by the campfire, the flames crackling in the darkness. The angel's heart was heavy. She couldn't bear to leave Jim, and he had long since fallen in love with her. Yet their worlds were apart, their love forbidden. The angel's gaze, full of longing, left Jim torn. He didn't know what to do. The next day, Jim, his hands trembling, removed the bandages from the angel's wings. The unspoken farewell hung heavy in the air. The angel, lost and desolate, clutched a pillow, its softness a mockery against her sorrow. Tears welled in her eyes, and with each tear that fell, Jim's resolve hardened. This pain, however agonizing, was the only way to set her free. As they choked back sobs, ready to bid a heartbreaking farewell, Patty burst in, shotgun raised. The angel vanished, leaving Patty to confront a stunned Jim. "Where is she?" Patty demanded, her voice laced with fury. Jim insisted the angel had left, but suspicion burned in Patty's eyes. A slap stung his cheek. She raised her hand again, and was suddenly knocked to the ground. Enraged and confused, she accused Jim. "You hit me. His denial was desperate, but Patty scrambled for the gun, only to be tripped again. Patty's father stormed in, ready to avenge his daughter. But Jim's father and friends arrived just in time, preventing a brawl. Amidst the chaos, Jim collapsed, the world blurring around him. Seething with rage, the angel stepped from the shadows. A flick of her hand summoned a storm of swirling wind and blinding light, driving Patty and her father back in terror. She gazed down at the unconscious Jim, her own eyes brimming with silent tears. With a final, anguished gesture, she pleaded with the others to care for him, then vanished into the turbulent night. The sterile hospital room echoed with the doctor's words. Terminal brain tumor. Meanwhile, the angel sat by Jim's bedside, her featherlight touch a gentle caress on his face. In the fading light, Jim understood everything. She could have taken him to heaven long ago, could have spared him this suffering. But instead, their love had sustained them, a fragile thread against the inevitable. Will everyone meet an angel when it's time? Jim's voice was barely a whisper. She smiled, a flicker of sadness in her eyes, and shook her head. A sigh of relief escaped his lips. Good, he murmured, his gaze holding hers. I'd be jealous otherwise. As she listened to his farewell, tears welled up in the angel's eyes once again. As the angel's tearful kiss sealed their farewell, Jim's breath caught and faded. She cradled him in her arms, her luminous wings shielding them as she sang. Her voice, a hauntingly beautiful melody, filled the room with an otherworldly lament. The next day, Jim's friends flocked to the hospital, regret gnawing at their hearts. A nurse, a gentle smile on her familiar face, asked for a moment of privacy. Recognizing her, a sense of peace washed over them. As they left, hopeful smiles replaced their worry. In the time that followed, we witnessed their romantic moments. The angel, now in a more carefree setting, with a mischievous grin, asked Jim, "Do you like it? Look at that." She had been granted leave due to a good deed and could now collaborate with Jim on creating beautiful music. "Jim, I'm starving. Shall we go for fries?" she suggested. And so, may all of you watching discover the person who makes your heart soar, a love that lifts you up.